All right. Here we go. Thank you for joining me this afternoon. It is the first day of fall today, so happy first day of fall. Um, I am recording this because I don't think it's working live on the TV right now, but I'm going to try to play it back and see if maybe that will fix the issue. So I'm not expecting that you can hear me at all, but if you can hear me, please call the gym or email me and let me know so that we know if maybe some of you are able to hear me, whereas others are not. So we're going to do our stretching full body flexibility class today. And I'm going to start at the top of the body, at the head and the neck, and then work my way down, spending a little bit of time on each muscle group and each joint, being sure that we really do stretch everything out. Most of the stretches will be performed in a chair. Some of them may be performed standing around the chair as well, but we're not going to be getting on the floor or anything like that, so don't worry about whether or not you're able to get up and down from the floor. Well, without further ado, we will get things started, and we will start with some stretches that are for the neck and the neck muscles, and then, of course, the cervical area of the spine, which is that top section of the spine there in the neck. The first one that I'd like to start with is going to be a stretch for the back side of the neck, all of the muscles there along the back. And each of the stretches that we do today, I'm going to perform for 30 seconds. And to keep me accurate with my time, I'm going to use my stopwatch. And as soon as I get into the position of the stretch, I will initiate the clock and count myself down from 30. So to perform this stretch, again, try to keep the back of the muscles, back of the neck relaxed so that those muscles can stretch. And the way that you get into the correct position is simply to bring your chin down toward your chest and look down into your lap. So we will start out now with 30 seconds on the clock. So go ahead and look down, and the clock begins now. As we are holding these stretches, be sure to remember to take deep breaths at all times. We want to continue to send that nice oxygenated blood through our body to our muscles. All right, time's up, so go ahead and look straight ahead now. From the back of the neck, now we're going to move around to the musculature on the front of the neck. And the best way to target that is to go in just the opposite direction as we did for the previous exercise. So for this one, we're going to be tilting our head back and looking up at the ceiling. As you do this, be sure to keep your jaw nice and relaxed to allow for more of a stretch to occur in the muscles here without anything being too clenched or tight. So clock set, go ahead and look up all the way to the ceiling and begin. Continue to take deep breaths. And that's time. Go ahead and look straight ahead. And we will get set for the next area of the neck, which is going to be to focus on the muscles along the left side. And the way to stretch those out is to simply turn your head to the right. So we're going to be trying to take our chin over to our right shoulder. Something else that helps me get a little bit more of a stretch on this one is to not only turn my head, but also take my eyes and try to look behind me as though there's someone talking to me over my shoulder. So I'll go ahead now and turn, look over my shoulder, keep the chin relatively close to the body, and begin. Try to keep the shoulders nice and relaxed here. Oftentimes we'll see people bring their shoulder in. Really, we just want to keep them square. All right, time's up. Now we're simply going to go to the other side, which will stretch the right side of the neck. So bring your chin over to your left shoulder. All right, time's up. Now that we've stretched the muscles of the neck, we're just going to work our way down to the shoulders. And a nice easy one to warm ourselves up is just to simply do some shoulder circles. So I like to start with first is circling in the forward direction. Really emphasize making the biggest circles that you can, and it's not about moving fast. You want to move nice and slow through the full range of motion that your shoulder joint allows for. So let's go ahead and begin with a forward shoulder circle, starting now. Really try to push the shoulders forward, therefore separating the shoulder blades, stretching out those muscles that are between the shoulder blades and the upper back. That's time. Just going to reset my clock, and now we will circle the shoulders backwards. This time as we circle back, our emphasis is going to be on squeezing the shoulder blades tightly together as the elbows go back behind you. This gives a nice little stretch through the front here, through the muscles on the front of the shoulder, as well as your pectoral muscles across the chest. Try to keep your neck relaxed. Good, that's time on that. Continuing with the shoulders now, we're going to do a shoulder stretch that is emphasizing stretching out the back side of the shoulder. So what I'd like for you to do is start with the right arm, bring it out in front of your body, and then bring it across the body. With your other hand now, you're going to pull a little bit further, meanwhile keeping that right shoulder as relaxed as you can. So I'm going to get my clock set and get into that position, starting now. So there should be no tension being held in that shoulder. Try to let it be as loose and relaxed as you can. And as always, continue to take deep breaths. Time's up. Bring the arms down. Bring them both back to get a little stretch in the opposite way. And now bring your left arm forward and then across your body. Hold it in with the right and hold. Keep taking deep breaths. All right, relax. Good. From the shoulders now, we're going to work our way down the upper arm. We'll start off with the stretch that's for the muscle on the back side of the upper arm, the triceps, and we'll do one arm at a time. So we'll start again with the right arm first. To get into the position for the stretch, you want to reach straight up overhead as high as you can, bend your elbow, and bring your hand back, almost like you're trying to adjust the tag in your shirt or your collar. Keep that elbow pointing up as best you can, and then with your other hand, you're either going to push up from underneath, or if you're flexible enough, you can go behind the head and grab the elbow and pull it to the left, like so. So I'm going to get my clock started now. Let's begin. For this one, if you're doing it the way that you see me doing it, it's best to keep your neck nice and relaxed and really just keep your chin aimed down toward your chest. That way you're not straining against the arm with your neck. All right, relax down. We'll do the same thing with the left arm now. So reach straight up, bend that elbow, grab on, and pull it toward the opposite side. And relax. Okay, give the shoulders a couple good shakes there. They were working hard to keep your arm in that position. And now that we've done the back side of the arm, we're going to move around to the front side of the upper arm. Those muscles there are the biceps. So the biceps are a little bit tricky to stretch. I'm actually going to include them now in a stretch that's not only for the biceps, but also stretches the muscles of the chest, which are the pectorals, and then also the front part of the shoulders. So if you've been in any of my classes, you know that this is one of my favorite stretches to usually end with in the beginning or the warm-up part of class. And it involves scooting to the front edge of your chair and then reaching back behind you with both hands to grab the bottom corner of the seat. By putting your arm in this back position, this extended position, it stretches out the muscle here on the front. And then also by pushing your chest up, it's going to stretch the muscles here across the chest. So let's go ahead and get in position here. Hold on, push your chest up. And I always like to look up as well and keep my neck nice and relaxed. Shoulder blades squeezed together. Take deep breaths. And relax. All right. So moving now from the biceps, we're going to continue down the arm. So we're now focusing on the forearm muscles, which run between the elbow and the wrist. Now there are muscles on both sides, on the underside of the forearm, and then also on the back side, and they're responsible for opposite movements. So the muscles that are on the underside of your forearm are responsible for wrist flexion, which is bringing your hand like this. And then the other side is engaged by wrist extension, which is pointing your fingers up, like so. So to stretch them, we do the exact opposite. We'll start with the muscles here on the underside of the forearm. So to stretch them, we want to bring that hand, or the wrist rather, into extension. So I'm going to start with my right arm, using my left hand to help. We're just going to hold the arm out and then point those fingers down, using your left hand to enforce that motion, keeping our forearm and wrist on the right side nice and relaxed. Go ahead and relax that now. We're going to stay with the same arm, but turn the hand over so palm is facing down. Using your left hand, once again, we're going to now force the hand into a pointed downward position. So let's begin like so. Try to keep the wrist completely relaxed. Feel that on the top part of your right forearm. Shake out the right hand now, and we're going to switch to the left side. Once again, we'll start with stretching out the underside of the forearm. So palms facing up, right hand is going to pull down on those fingers, trying to point them down at the floor. Continue to take deep breaths again at all times. And relax. Go ahead now and flip your hand over, and we'll stretch the top side of the left forearm. Point the fingers down. And relax. Shake out the left side. All right, now that we've done the neck, shoulders, and worked our way down each arm, we're going to focus now on some stretches that are for the back. So to start out, we will do a stretch that is going to help with the lower back. And this one we will repeat a little bit later in a standing position, but you can do both or one or the other. The seated version is a little bit easier, but you don't quite get as much of a stretch from it. So anyway, we'll start out with this one. This one's going to actually stretch not only our lower back, but it's also going to stretch the muscles that are here on the inside of the thigh, which are called the adductors. And by having a wide stance, when we lean forward like we're going to, it's going to place a stretch there and then also a stretch on the lumbar part of the back. So to get into position, we're just going to bring the arms down in front of us, nice and relaxed. Emphasize hinging from your hip joint. So we're just going to hinge forward. And you can bring your fingertips down to the floor. If you can reach there, that's great. Otherwise, you can also even go down as far as putting your palms on the ground, but that's up to you. Timer's going to start now. Continue to take deep breaths. Especially in this position, emphasize your breathing because it does put your circulation at a bit of a strain, having your head pointing downward like this. All right, relax, slowly come back up so we don't get dizzy. And I'll have us bring our feet a little bit closer together. So from the lower back now, we're going to go to the muscles that are along the sides here. Also incorporates the lower back again. And the best way to target all of that at once is through trunk rotation. So what I'll have us do next is take both of our hands and place them on the outside of our left leg. And we're just going to keep that leg nice and strong, pushing our foot into the ground so it's sturdy and we can pull on it to turn our shoulders as far as we can to the left. So let's do that all together. Be sure also to keep sitting up nice and tall and begin. Good. Time's up on that side. We're just going to switch to the other side. and come back to the middle. All right. We're going to go into another one that is going to stretch, really this one gets almost the whole back all at one time, which is why it's a great stretch, nice efficient stretch. So we're going to revisit that wide stance. So again, this is going to place some stretch on the inside of the thigh. And then also it's going to have some rotation. It's going to involve some movement of the shoulder blade, all kinds of good things. So you should feel this across really the entirety of your back, in addition to the muscles here on the inner thigh. So we're going to take right arm first, bring it down in between the legs, lean forward so that your elbow is pushed against the inside of that right leg. And then to get into the real stretch position, we're going to take our left arm and bring it straight back behind us, reaching up diagonally. Turn your head as well so that you're looking in the same direction as that hand. I'm going to go ahead and press my start button now. So let's begin. Now come down and switch sides. Good. Come back down. Go ahead and sit up and narrow your stance once again. Take a deep breath. All right. We've pretty well covered everything from the neck, shoulders, arms, and torso, both front and back. So now we're going to shift gears and focus more on stretching from the hips down. So we'll start out with one that is going to stretch the back side of the upper legs. And that is going to involve extending both of your legs forward, making sure that you're toward the front part of your chair. So if you're not, go ahead and scoot there. And with both of your legs extended, knees straight, try to point your big toes directly up at the ceiling. And for this one, we're going to place our hands on our hips and pretend that our chest, pretend it's like attached to a rope straight out in front of you. You're just going to push that chest forward, hinge from the hip, and almost instantly you should feel some stretch and pull on the back upper side of the leg. So let's go ahead and begin now. I'm going to show you a second version of this right afterward, which will incorporate the back as well. But this version is the best if your goal is simply to stretch the hamstrings. All right, go ahead and slowly sit back up. From there, we're going to take the hands off the hips and hold the fingers straight out in front of you. For this one, we will initiate the movement again by simply hinging from the hip. My arms are not reaching, they're just moving because I'm bringing my torso forward. So we'll start with that first. So go ahead and hinge, keep the chest puffed out, and then you can round your upper back and try to bring your fingers down toward your toes. Continue to hold here and take deep breaths. And sit back up nice and slow. go ahead and bend those knees now. Good. The next one is going to be a stretch that gets the upper front part of the leg, the quadriceps muscles, and also some of the muscles that are in the front of the hip, which are your hip flexors involved. So for this one, we're going to just grab onto our right knee, try to bend the knee as much as you can, and pull it up toward the body. You may also feel this a little bit in the glute region. So go ahead and hold there with the right leg first. I'm going to show you another version of this that is performed standing, which is probably even a little bit more effective at stretching those muscles. It's a little bit harder to get into that position, but this is still a good option if you prefer to do it seated. All right, switch legs now. Left leg up, kind of grabbing right in the middle of my shin. Deep breath. All right, relax down. Very good. All right, so the next one is going to focus now on the muscles surrounding the hip joint. So those are our glute muscles specifically. We also have the abductors on the outside here too. And these next two stretches are really, really effective at stretching those areas, which are often very, very tight, especially because we spend such a great amount of time sitting. These muscles get shortened as a result, and so they're a little bit harder to work to stretch them out and lengthen the muscle. So exercise, or stretch number one rather, for the hip, we're going to take our right ankle and cross it over top of our left knee. Now, if this is already enough of a stretch for you, or maybe if it's even too much of a stretch, instead, what you can do is cross it just below the knee, and that should put less of a severe angle on the hip. However, if you are comfortable in this position, that's great. That's the starting point. To really, really get that muscle effectively, what we're going to do next is interlock the fingers. Get my clock going. Interlock the fingers and pull the knee toward the middle of the body. So by pointing that knee up toward the ceiling, we have a really good stretch now here on the outside of our right hip. Keep that area as relaxed as possible. Now we're going to allow that leg to fall back out to the side. Reposition your hands so that they're on the inside of the knee. And before doing anything like pushing down, we're going to hinge from our hip. So again, we're going to just bring our chest forward. Once you've done that, go ahead and apply a slight downward pressure as well. Deep breaths. And relax. Go ahead and uncross, and we're just going to switch legs. So left ankle now over top of the right knee. And again, we'll start by pulling that knee toward the middle of the body. And relax. Allow it to fall back out. Place the hands on the inside of the knee, lean forward, and then push down if you wish for an additional stretch. All right, again, relax, uncross the legs. Let's go ahead and shake both legs out as well. And we're now going to move into a standing position. So I'm going to adjust the computer screen real quick so that my head is not chopped off. Let's see. Let me test that out. I think we're good. Okay. So we're just going to stand in the front of our chair. What I'm going to have us do is bring our stance out nice and wide. Bring the arms around in front of you. And while keeping your knees as straight as you can, we're going to push our hips back and then bring the arms down so our fingertips are going down toward the floor. You should feel this stretch in the back of your legs, possibly the lower back as well. We're just going to hold here at that point where you feel the tension. And again, very important to keep taking deep breaths while we're in this position. That kind of makes our circulation have to work extra hard here. All right, slowly rise back up. Make sure you're not seeing stars. And now we're going to move from the front of the chair over to the left side of, the right side of the chair. So once we're over to the right, this next exercise is going to involve holding on to the corner of the chair with your left hand for stability. And then we're going to reach up overhead with the right arm and then reach over to the left. This is a nice side bend exercise or stretch which gets all the muscles here along the back and the side. Holding the chair there for support. And relax back down. Move now over to the opposite side. So now we're moving actually to the left. We'll do the same thing. This time our right hand is on the chair. We're going to be stretching out the left side of the body. So reach up and then over to the right. Continue to take deep breaths. And now come back down nice and slow. All right. So we're going to go now to the back of the chair. So I'm going to just stand behind my chair. And for this one, we're going to stand nice and close to the back of the chair. And the reason is we're going to kind of use the top part of the seat as the pivot point for our hips to rotate around. So this is one where rather than holding it in one position, it's going to be kind of a mobility exercise instead of a stretch and hold. And this is a great one to work on, especially opening up the muscles here across the chest and also mobilizing the thoracic section of your spine. So kind of like the middle section of your back, the spinal area. So we're going to just stand in a nice comfortable stance. We're going to start by hinging from the hip, keeping straight legs. Fingertips come down to the chair. And we're going to go from this position slowly up with the arms in front of us, and then go all the way so that they are overhead. Slowly come back down. Round the back, touch the fingertips to the chair. And again, nice and slow, we're going to rise up from that position. Your arms should kind of form the letter V or Y, depending how you look at it at the top. And let's do that once more. Come down nice and slow, hinging from the hip, rounding the upper back. And now rise up. Arms overhead. Deep breath. Bring the hands back down to the top of the chair now. Good. This next one is one of my all-time favorites. It does an excellent job of continuing to stretch out the muscles here of the shoulders and the chest, also the back. And this will be a stretch and hold position. So I'm going to turn my chair sideways so you guys can see a side profile, kind of better idea, better vantage point of what's going on. You want to grip the top of the chair tightly with both hands. Take a few steps back. Again, nice comfortable width to your stance. And here we're going to just push our hips back and allow the chest, you may need to step back again, I know I did, allow the chest to sink down and keep your upper back and shoulders nice and relaxed. And slowly walk yourself back to the back of the chair. All right. So I mentioned earlier that I was going to show you one more that gets the front of the thigh, the quadriceps. And this one is a challenge, particularly for people if you have knee mobility issues or you're not able to bend your knee very well. So I'll show you a little trick of an easier way to get into the correct position for this exercise. So we'll be targeting the left side first, since that's the side I have facing you all right now. Your right hand stays on the chair, and you want to make sure you're a step or two back from the chair. Reason for that is that it's going to make it easier for us to get into the correct position for the stretch. So with your fingertips on the top of the chair, we're going to bring our left knee forward, as far forward as we can. And hopefully by bringing the knee forward, it will make it easier for you to grab around the upper part of your ankle or just in the lower area of the shin. So that's a starting point. And getting into the correct position from here is actually going to involve pointing that knee down like so. So hold here. If you wanted to take it to an even further level, you could lean forward like this, but I'm going to stay right here. So if you have this lined up correctly, you have your upper legs in line with one another. All right, slowly relax. We're going to repeat the same thing now with the right side. So left hand is on the chair. Right knee comes forward, we reach down, we grab the lower part of the shin just above the ankle. We're going to bend the knee and then slowly go into a down pointing position. Again, if you wanted more of a stretch, you could lean forward, and I'm going to stay right here. Totally up to you though. And relax down. All right, let's go ahead now and move down to the very lowest part of the leg. This is going to be a good stretch for the calf muscles. So hold on to the chair with both hands. Place your feet close together. You're going to bring your hips back, and then you're going to try to point your big toes up, like you're trying to get them to point right up to the ceiling. Again, as always, keep taking those deep breaths. And then come back down nice and slow. From the back of your chair, we're going to come around again to the front. Good. So we're just going to finish off with a nice relaxing sequence that also doubles as a stretch. We'll start here with our hands together at the chest. I'm going to have you point your fingers straight ahead, reach out in front of you, round your upper back. Now bring your hands back into the body, point them up, take a deep breath in as you reach up overhead. Exhale as you lower the arms out to the sides. So let's do that 2 more times. Hands together, fingertips pointing straight ahead. Reach forward, round the upper back, look down toward the floor. Come back in nice and slow. Fingertips up, breathe in, reach overhead. Exhale. All right, last time. Fingertips pointing forward. Reach out. Come back in. Inhale. Exhale. All right. Last but certainly not least, go ahead and take both arms out to the front, cross over, and wrap yourself up into a nice big Tuesday hug. All right. Thank you guys for joining me. Have a great day. I will try to play this video again as a recording, and hopefully the sound will work. So thanks again, guys. Have a great rest of your week.